Thank you so much for sticking to Y254. I am Cheryl Blessing and you are watching the Power Talk Show. So we just took a very short break, but before we did that, we were talking about high value people. So I've asked you a question on social media. Go to our platforms at Y254. Let me know, who do you think a high value person is? What are some characters that they have? What are some values that they hold? I want to hear from you and I will sample your comments as we progress. But meanwhile, I'm joined here live in studio by Shalom and Dante Max. So we were just talking about, we've understood that for you to be a high value person, you have to be intentional and you have to have positive characters, positive traits, which include self-awareness, respect. You have to have some understanding of people. You have to be very intentional about every single thing that you do. And you can't be born a high value person. You become a high value person. And before we took a break, Shalom, you're just telling us about how you are in a situation where you said something, someone took it different, and then they asked you, "Mbona unakuwa negative?" And you started processing, and you were like, "Okay, am I a negative person?" And I believe so many people have gone through that. Recently, I also experienced something similar. I was talking to someone, I had a meeting actually here on set, and I figured maybe they didn't understand what I was trying to say the first time. Then I went to the makeup room and I said something else, and these people completely got the wrong idea, and I was like, kwa nini mimi? So fortunately, one of my friends affirmed me and they were like, imagine mimi nimekuelewa, but hata mimi na feeling hivyo, because sometimes you'll say something and someone will interpret it based on their own understanding, their own experiences, their own lenses that they have. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad person or you're a low vibrational person. It's just the instance that is. So how much should we value the opinions of people around us? Because if we're trying to be high value people, we've talked about doing that because we want to create positive change to the people around us. So Dante Max, how much should the opinion of our friends, our family, on our character, how much should that opinion have on who we choose to be?
Now, the opinions are like, say, swords. They're going to be shaping you around. So they can actually be positive or they can actually be negative. Some people can be giving you opinions which are based on jealousy. Some people can be giving you opinions based on how to shape you up to be who you want to be, right? So I will sometimes, okay, now I'll have just to bring it up. Please. Being an overthinker, the moment I get opinions, I really do digest them. So I like, okay, why did she say that I take time to maybe write a script in filmmaking? Why did she say that? Is it something that should change or should I just keep it because I feel like it's helping me out? So some opinions can be based on shaping you up. Some of them can be based like breaking you up. So some people can give you negative compliments like, come on you guy, you can't afford to even Uber me up to this certain kind of place. You can't afford to Uber yourself up and stuff. And like you feel like, oh, this guy is trying to break me up. He's trying to break who I really am, you see. So I feel like when you get opinions, just take time to analyze them and separate them from the positive and those ones which can actually shape you up and those ones which can actually break you up. Just take time and analyze them and separate them into groups.
I like that because there's some opinions that are definitely there. There's positive criticism where someone wants to make you better, but there's some people who are just negative. They're jealous or they're projecting their own insecurities and frustrations onto you. And how do you know? Because sometimes, Shalom, you're in a very low vibrational environment. You're surrounded by low value people and you're the only high value person. So they try to make you feel like, you know, they make you feel like you're the black sheep of that situation. So how do you deal with instances like that?
Well, as for me, I only can say is just be true to yourself, because at the end of the day, our to low value, you're a high value person, so they will take what resonates with them and they will take what they feel like it's comfortable with them, because at the end of the day we are all different. And low value people, I mean, at some point there's always a second chance for everyone to change and become a better person, but in such kind of an instance, I just be true to yourself. Just tell them the truth. Let them face the reality of life and speak out. Because at the end of the day, watakuja tu kusikia baadaye. Even if it's not that time, it's later on.
They're going to realize
They're going to realize that.
Yeah. And honestly, let me also just give you this in addition, just in case someone needs that message driven home. When I was in high school, when I joined high school, I was fortunate because I was brought up in this very exposed world where my family, my parents encouraged me to read, watch movies, expose yourself to all these different ideologies. So by the time I was getting to high school, I was a very open-minded person. Sometimes, okay, I don't know how to say it, but I was kind of different because nilikuwa nakuja kuambia watu about Greek mythologies and they look at me like, huh? What are those? And sometimes people used to try and put me down because I was different from everyone else. But then do you know right now, years later, those are the guys who still follow me and they keep tabs and they want to check in constantly. They're like, Cheryl, what are you doing? How did you do that? How did you do this? So it may take time, but sometimes they'll eventually catch up to you. So stay within your power. The way Shalom is saying, be authentic to yourself and everyone else will catch up to that. If they're low vibrational, they'll still catch up and become high value. And people can change. Yeah.
And also, adding to that about your story, about loving yourself, not just like kujipenda because maybe you're pretty, you have long hair, you have a good skin, but also body wise. People are really getting body shamed out here. I've also been body shamed. Let me just say a story because it's about to go to open.
Yeah, with this sharing experience.
When I was in primary school, I remember I was in class, either it's in class 6 or class 7. And we were walking, ilikuwa ni classes, alafu tunapanda stairs, mnaenda dining hall kukula. So there were boys that were behind me. I think I was in either class 8 or between class 7 and class 8. And then me, I was walking. And then nikipanda stairs, they were laughing from behind. And then they were like, hey, Shalom, mbona unatembea kaa panda? Like panda, you see those two, see panda, bata, you see they walk. So, and I asked myself, kwani natembea aje? Kwani nafaa nitembea aje? And then like miguu zako zinakaa funny, like the way my legs are shaped, they just, as in I have a really, if you're able to be keen with how I walk, you will literally tell I don't walk like a normal person. Because at some point I was like, kwani natembea aje? So since then, up to when I joined sasa unaingia sasa high school, I never liked wearing things that show my legs. So napata, my mom deals with textile, vitu za kushona nguo material. So every time nikishonewa nguo, na wanataka kushonewa nguo mrefu, or sometimes that I never even liked walking because I was like, mtakuja kuona vile natembea alafu mkuje mnijaji huko nje. But then ilifika mali I was kind of pushed to understand what is wrong with my legs until I realized like I really have, I don't know how to call it, like ball leg, like ukitembea unasikia una magoti zako zoku kando zinagongana. So you're not able like to walk straight. So even if I tried to walk straight inakataa kabisa. And at some point when I was in high school, I think when I was in high school form 1 or form 2, I told my mom, by the way, kwani natembeanga aje? Akaniuliza kwani unatembea aje? Nikamwambia mom, unajua nikiwa class 7, wale marafiki zangu walikuwa wananiambia natembea kama bata. She looked at me and she was like, si uko na miguu? Si unatembea? Ni nini ingine unataka? And that is when like ilini hit. So since then like unajua pia ukiambiwa vitu zingine at some point your self esteem inaendanga chini. Don't you want people to see how you walk? So me, I am so free walking even town. If you see how my legs are, I don't care. As long as I have legs, I can put any shoe I want, even if it's those 12-inch heels, I can still walk with them. If my legs have no problem, they have no problem. At some point I was even pushed to see, like in, I think it was in the US or UK, people who had such kind of legs, they will get operated on, but the recovering time is taking so long. So me nilikuwa like, I was like, mimi Mungu akinipatia pesa kama ni 1 million, I will travel to that place and get my legs corrected so that I can walk normally like the rest. But nikasema hapana, what's the point? This is me. I can't change myself. And at some point tumekuwa tu body shame like.
And you see, body shaming is also a low value trait. Because it's usually projections of how you feel inside, then you project it onto someone else. because someone will look at you and they're like, mbona uko sawa na mimi naona imperfections hizi na mimi niko na hizi imperfections na siko sawa. So people try to project that onto other people, and we see that particularly on social media. We get a lot of body shaming, we get a lot of just any shaming. People will shame you for anything. You'll post something, it's really good, and someone will look at the tiniest detail and fixate on that. Dante, as an overthinker, wewe umetengeneza film imekuwa perfect, and you know, we are humans, we can't have something at 100% all the time. And you get someone who criticizes something that's not even there, and then you start fixating on that. How do you get out of your mind and realize, no, I've done my best, I'm going to do even better in the next project, and this is out there. The way you're giving us the example of your first project versus right now, you had to build up the confidence, you had to learn, you had to gain experience for you to improve. But how do you fight that the haters who will come and tell you all the negativity and all the toxic comments about some opinions that to you are just minor details, and already it's things that you can't, you can't change. There are things that they're not in your control. So how do you deal with that?
Now, before I answer that, I like how she has stand her ground. No? So for instance, that let's just start from her. See, her deciding that, okay, I am who I am, and I will not want anyone to change who I am, just shows how her characteristic and her persona is so strong. And that's why when she says that she's a high value person, it actually makes sense that actually she's actually a high value person. If by any chance the people who actually made those kind of comments broke her up, you see, she wouldn't be here, right? She would be somewhere else. But now you can see that she's actually in this set and with us here, and because of the comments didn't actually break her. She's actually here. That shows that actually she's a high value person. Now, coming back to the question, so you see, making a number of when you make a number of films, and when you're in this industry, you have to really be ready for those kind of comments. Be ready for positive comments, be ready for negative comments. Now, for me, I take negative comments as, say, my, what's it called? Is it plan shaper, or say, my skill shaper, right? Whereas if someone gives me positive compliments, someone, I made a film a few months back, and I posted it on YouTube. It cost me some money, right? At the end of the day, film production is very expensive. In terms of food, pre-production to production to post-production, it's very expensive. So I made the film and I posted it on YouTube. Now, there's a certain kind of comment on the YouTube. The comment, I've not deleted it, it's still there. Now, this comment was suggesting like, this film needs some kind of readjustment in terms of the lighting, and it really hit me some point, because I was like, let me check the video out, because I was actually the one who edited the video. So when I went through the video, I realized, yeah, it's actually true. So this guy is not a hater actually. He's actually, maybe he is a hater, but the way he brought it up to actually shape me up to actually who I am right now and how I make my films. So I took it as a positive compliment. I say, at the end of the day, you have to expect, if you're into film production, any industry that you are in, you have to expect positive compliment and negative compliment. If there are no negative compliments, then you're not actually working.
Yeah. Unless
you work, then there's compliments to actually be combating with whatever you're actually doing.
Yeah. And I think that resonates with, there's some quote that says, if you're friends to everybody, then there's a problem.
There's a problem.
Yeah.
There's a problem.
There's something that's iffy. You have to have, it's not that you have to, but if you're doing the right thing, you're going to face resistance. You're going to face people who are going to tell you, no, this is not the right thing, that's not the right thing, and all that. So you just have to fight through all that. And another thing is, I've come across this idea that for you to be a high value person, you have to be wealthy. You have to have financial freedom. You have to have assets and all these things. Does it matter, Shalom?
Not really, it doesn't. Okay. Well, high value people, they're often successful and they achieve whatever they want. But I don't believe like just because you have to have money it will be characterized as someone who is a high valued person. There are people who don't even have money, but wako na character uko nje. They know themselves, they know how to treat others, they know how to behave, and they know how to speak. But generally, it's not just about the financial and the materialistic things, but it's just about, as in, it's just about who you are, your heart, like the way you speak, the way you put yourself out there, the way people know you. Yeah, that's all.
It's about your character.
Yeah, true.
It's not about the finances.
Yeah, true.
And what about the luxury cars? If I'm driving a G-Wagon, and I
G-Wagon.
have the most expensive bags in the world, and I live in a, I don't know how many $1 million house, am I a high value person because of the assets that I have?
Now you see, considering the assets, at the end of the day, I used that trick. Anyone who's watching, this is very important. Now, when say I was going for a certain interview, allow me not to mention it because it's still in the process. So there's a way that I had to go and research. So like I research, okay, how am I supposed to be putting myself? How am I supposed to be conducting myself when I go to the interview and stuff? So I don't want to promote the clothes line, but I went to the shop and I told them, I hear that you guys hire clothes for news anchors. And say, yeah, are you a news anchor? Like, I lied actually. Yeah, I'm a news anchor. Yeah, I am. So they directed me to the place and they dressed me up and said, you see, when you came here, you say that you're a news anchor, but I knew that you're not a news anchor. You look someone familiar. So like, yeah, I'm actually into mostly cinematography and photography, but yet they actually hide the clothes. Now, when I went to the interview, what happened was amazing because the way you portray yourself, not like I'm not saying like money makes you a high value person, but there's a way you can portray yourself to look like someone who has actually money, just to get to the top. But you see, I don't know if you get what I'm saying, because so the moment I got the clothesline from the shop, I went there and the guys were all over me like, yeah, Dan, you're Dan? Come have a seat, Dan, come have a seat. So like where the rest of the interviewers were, I was like extracted from the like, Dan, come, don't sit here, come go and sit to the other VIP lounge and stuff. So I went to sit there and I was actually among, and in fact those guys who were there had all the qualities that were actually, I knew that only one quality was amiss, but because of how I had to conduct myself throughout the operation, everything worked out. And you see, yeah.
And I like that because that speaks on impression.
Impression, exactly.
The impression that we make on people.
Exactly.
The first time, the face value, because there's also this saying of dress how you want to be addressed. So for you to be, if you're a high value person, you have to present yourself in a certain way. But Shalom, kuna mademo nye wako like, my dress, my choice. If I want to wear a mini skirt to work, I'll wear a mini skirt to work. Particularly the Gen Z generation, because I'm part of the Gen Zs, and dress code for who? There's a disregard almost of the dress codes and all that. We complain from school, at school telling us you have to wear this, don't wear that. From workplaces, why do I have to come in official? People will come in with jeans and be so casual on a Monday for the meeting. So what's the importance of how we dress and how we present ourselves externally?
Well, how you dress also speaks for you personally. So if I come to this place, nimekuja labda nimevaa Crocs, nimevaa Marvin, na kama nimevaa like the sweatpants and I just look like someone was just woken up, I'll be addressed like that person. People will see me as, you're not serious, what are you coming here to do? Are you sure like umekuja kufanya kazi? But if I come dressed like you're, because you're really smart, you have really good hair, like the makeup is on point, like you'll be addressed, what people will see you as a very serious person and you're ready for work. But if you tell me like, I do believe like every workplace have their own different rules and their regulations and what needs to be followed. But I do believe ata kama unaenda wapi, just dress nicely, just dress, because you see, sometimes I ask myself, we do have rape cases. I know this is a very sensitive topic, but I had someone saying, sometimes sisi pia wasichana tunaleta hizo vitu tu kwetu. Because if I'm in a place where like it's, I don't know how to put it, but let me just say a place where like it's so hiyo jina inapotea, but let me just be broad kidogo. Maybe nimevaa nguo and I do believe when I wear something like it's half and all my thighs are my brown thighs are all open, I'm trying to attract something. And definitely you attract what people see about you. And dressing, just be decent. Is the way hata ukienda when you go to churches, if you're able to go to church, you dress nicely. Mbona kushinde kuvaa vizuri even on a Friday, on a Saturday, on a Thursday, because kanisani si wanasemanga ni pia hospitali ya wagonjwa. Not everybody in church is a good person, but it's also a hospital for people who wants to be treated. But people really need to be real. You don't have to be hypocritical. Just because unaenda church and you have to dress in a certain way, in the name of impressing others because you want to look like someone who is so smart. But when another person from the same church, mwenye alikuwa na church akuone tena Monday, alafu umevaa kitu imefika hapa and all your boobs, your cleavage is out, he'll be like, or she'll be like, kwani huyu ni mtu niliona Sunday na kiabudu Mungu, speaking in tongues, you're the on praise and worship team, unainua mikono juu kisifu Yesu. I mean, let's not be hypocritical. Let's just be authentic. Let's be real. If kama like I do believe there are some places of work in abidi too, like they are like you have to showcase like I don't know some parts of your body, but if you feel that's not really you, because tulikuwa tumesema tukianza, a high value person needs to be someone who is true to their beliefs and their values. So kama wewe unajua vizuri, there's a certain way you can't dress, but in your place of work they say hapana, this is how you're supposed to dress. And kwako una feel I can't do this because at some point it's going to ruin me. Now people will see me as someone who is not a good person. So it's good to walk out sometimes because it can be toxic. It can change you to be someone that you're not, and maybe you didn't want to be that person.
Exactly.
So let's just be real.
And that's the reality of it. I know it's a very hard pill to swallow, but the way we dress is the way we get addressed.
Exactly.
And especially for the first time, if it's your first impression, you have to make a really good first impression.
True.
Because that's the idea, that's the impression that someone will carry for the rest of maybe your existence, your interaction. And if you make people respect you from the very get-go, they will respect you regardless of how you're wearing, the situation you're in. They will put respect on your name regardless of the situation.
True.
And that's something that's been proven over and over again. So as we wind up the conversation, we've been talking about self-awareness and self-assessment constantly, but we also need to improve because a high-value person constantly gets better, so that you can do better for the people around you. So what's the value of investing in our own skills, in our own talents? You were just talking about going to the Canon Africa, I believe it was a workshop where you're there and learning from other filmmakers and other directors, cinematographers. What's the value of putting back money and assets into yourself so that you improve yourself and invest in who you are?
Now, I'll just kind of repeat what I actually said initially. Film industry is very expensive. In terms like the camera we were using to shoot one of the projects on December, the cameras itself, like the DSLRs, the mirrorless cameras, they're very expensive. So like for the bodies alone, they go for around 450 something thousand. That's for the only body alone without the lens kit. Now it's actually very expensive. Now how, at the end of the day, what if you love what you're doing? You really have to invest on it. If you're into film production, you really have to invest on the equipments. Now it doesn't mean that anyone who's watching that him or her who's having a phone cannot actually walk him or herself way through to the top. No, any equipment can be phones, can be those minute cameras that are cheap. Some of them go to 10,000. Doesn't mean that you can actually escape the success process. No. So I would say that for this process to actually make sense at the end of the day, is that you have to really invest into whatever you are actually working on. If it's for me, recently I bought some machine. I'm not bragging. Forgive me for
you're giving us just to give instance.
Like I just bought a machine. It doesn't mean that the camera itself I was buying it because it was the only option that I had. I could have bought something which would actually amount to the same cost of the camera, but I decided to go for the camera itself because I really know what the camera is going to bring forth to the table. Yeah.
I like that because it's about what it brings back.
Exactly.
And most times when we use money, we like to think, oh my God, I'm wasting money, I'm using money. But we don't think about how much am I gaining. And this is a concept I was even teaching my younger cousins. I was telling them, if you're spending money, but it's improving you in one way or another, then it's an investment.
That's
but
nice.
if you're putting away money, you're eating and it's not adding so much value for you, or you're going somewhere and it's not adding too much value, then you're wasting that. So you have to weigh your liabilities versus your assets. What are you willing to invest in? The workshops are investment. Equipment is an investment. Even in your appearance, that is an investment. But if you're going out clubbing, your person unaenda tu kukunywa, it's really a liability. You're wasting money. So I think that's a wonderful place to end our conversation at. So perhaps you can give us a parting shots under 30 seconds if you don't mind, and maybe tell us where we can get you in socials in case we want to reach out afterwards. Let me start with you, Shalom.
Well, let me say I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for inviting me. It was a good session. I really loved it. And also, let me just finish by saying this. We are not perfect in any way, but each and every single day, it's a day for you to improve to become a high value person. Because if you want to become a high value person, then and as in you want to be successful, I mean, you have to be a high value person, be disciplined enough and to understand who exactly you are. So for my parting shots, on social media, personally, I'm not, let me just be real. Like, I'm really not a social media person, but on Facebook, you can find me. I'm Shalom Mba, I guess. Instagram, I'm Shalom Mba, I think, as well. And TikTok is Shalom Mba. Yes, so any shout-outs? Are we doing any shout-outs?
No, unfortunately not. You will follow us, guys. Go to our platforms at Y254. If you saw her on this show, text us. Yes, unfortunately. Yes, please give us your parting shots, Dante.
I will say that the only key to success is persistence. Well, the moment you keep on plowing on the same thing that you really want, finally reach the goal that you're actually looking for. So persistence and prayer. Otherwise, on all social media platforms, I'm King Dantimax. Dantimax is DANTIMAX. That's my name, and for my company is Royal Images 254.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Guys, follow them, support them, because we have such amazing, amazing creatives here with us. And I hope you've gotten something from this conversation. For you to be a high value person, you just have to be intentional. Work on yourself consciously every single day, and you will get there. There's no formula to it. It's just about intentionality. So that's a wonderful place to end this conversation at. It's been a wonderful, wonderful evening. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. We're going to repeat it tomorrow between 1 and 2 p.m. and it's also going to go up on YouTube. So that is it for us for today. Have a lovely evening. I am Cheryl Blessing, and this has been the Power Talk Show.